Alright, so I know you watched a Edpuzzle on like this same topic, and that was a lesson yesterday. I kind of want to do a lesson with you all on a video myself too, just to really get you on to this new lesson that we're doing of writing and graphing inequalities, and that way I can explain a little bit better if the video didn't explain enough or whatever you want to say, and it can also just be extra practice with me. Alright, so you all are going to have your own copy of this, and I'm just going to go through this with you, and I'm going to do it all with you all, but make sure you do it because it's still worth points. Okay, so this just tells us we would probably be using these following tools. We'll just see how it goes. So let's go on to the next slide. So on this one, we are matching the key phrases to each inequality symbol. Okay, so we've got our inequality symbol of less than, which is like the tail end is what I call it. Then we got greater than, which is what I call the alligator mouth. And then we got less than or equal to, so it's your tail end with a line underneath of it. And then you got greater than or equal to, which is your alligator mouth with the line underneath it. So we're just matching these key phrases to each inequality symbol. So all you do is you're just like, you would click on them and then you would just, drag them. All right. So, looking at these, if we're thinking about less than, we'll see there's a less than right here. So you would just drag that up and put it there. And then if we got below is the same thing as less than. And then smaller than is also another less than. So pretty much that's all you're doing is just you're just dragging those. So after, if we were to drag them all, then here is what your answer key would look like. So in the less than, we got smaller than, less than, and below, which we already did that. In the greater than, we've got above, larger than, and more than. And then in the less than or equal to, we've got maximum, at most, no more than. So if anything is like less than or equal to, then it can either be like that, like say it was like a number, say x is less than or equal to 14. So it can be 14 or less than 14. So that's like at most, it can be 14. It can't be any higher because it's got to be less than or equal to 14. So it can be 14, but it can't be anything above it. It's got to be 14 or below, 14 or less than. So at most, at the maximum, no more than, that's what those mean. And then same thing with greater than or equal to. So if I had x is greater than or equal to 14, then it can be 14 or more since it's greater than or equal to. So it's got to be anything 14 or more. It can't be anything less. So at the least, it can be 14. At minimum, it can be 14. It can't be no less than 14, like no less than that. It has to be 14 or above. That's what that means. So in this one, we got maximum, at most, no more than. And the greater than or equal to, you got no less than, minimum, and at least. And remember, you can pause this video just to make sure you get all your pieces put in the right spot. Okay? All right, so I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next one. Let me backspace these real quick. All right, so moving on. So we're going to write each word sentence as an inequality. So they give us an example here. There is a number h is less than 8. Now, we don't know the number. We just know that it's h, our variable, is less than 8. So the less than, remember, is your tail end towards the h right there because it's less than 8. So if I go over here and I take the sum of 3 and y is greater than 10. So we have to type in the box first. So let's start with the sum of 3 and y. Sum is addition. So that's 3 plus y. Let's see how that. Yeah, okay. Let me see if I can make this a little bit smaller. Let's try 12. Let's try 14. There we go. So put it at 14 to make it fit in the box. So sum of 3 y's, 3 plus y, is greater than 10. So greater than, remember, is your alligator sign. So you grab that because that's our alligator going towards, or the alligator mouth going towards the 3 plus y, and that is greater than 10. Now let's get that back down to 14. There we go. Nope. That didn't work. All right, there we go. 14. All right, so product of 4 and b. Let's start with that first. Well, let's read the whole thing. The product of 4 and b is less than or equal to 24. So the product of 4 and b is, remember, multiplication. And that's when, like, we can have our number and our letter or our variable touching. So that would be 4b is less than or equal to. So it not only is it going to be our little tail end, but it's also going to have our line underneath because it's or equal to. And then 24. All right, moving on. A number k is at least 25. So right here, we're just going to put k is at least 25. So remember, at the least, it can be 25. So it has to be greater than or equal to, because it can be at least 25. So it can be 25, but it also has to be, it can be more than. So it's 25 or more. That's what at least means. At the least, it can be 25. It can't be any less than 25. So that's why it's greater than or equal to. So there's your answer for this. And remember, like I said, pause anytime you need to, just if you need to catch up, if I'm going too fast. I'm going to go ahead and backspace all this. Oh, I don't want to leave this site. There we go. Okay. On to the next one. So, write an inequality for each situation. So we're doing the same thing, what we just did on the last one, but this time it's a situation. So Emily had more than 5 apples. So if she had more than 5 apples, then that means we are using greater than. All right, next one. Let me explain this one. So because if she has more than 5 apples, then we have to figure out A is anything more than 5. Okay, so she had more than that. So next one, the dog has less than 3 tennis balls. So let's use D for dog. If he has less than 3 tennis balls, that means our tail end has to go towards the D, and then 3. There we go. D is less than 3 because the dog has less than 3 tennis balls. All right, next one. The bakery had to make at least 12 cakes today. So we're going to use B for bakery. If they had to make at least 12 cakes today, that means they can make 12, but they can't make any less than that. So it's got to be 12 or more. So it's our alligator sign. It's our greater than or equal to with the line underneath it. And then put 12. All right, the gymnasium can hold at most 200 students. So let's use G for gymnasium, at most. So they can hold 200 students, but that's at the most. It can't hold any more than 200. So it can't be anything above 200. It has to be 200 or below or less. So it's our less than or equal to sign, the tail end with the line underneath, and then 200. Let's make that a little less. There we go. Nope. Let's try 14. There we go. All right. So there's our answers for that page. I'm going to go ahead, remember, pause anytime you need to. I'm going to go ahead and backspace all this. Okay, there we go. Alrighty, let's go on to this one. So on this one, we have to tell whether the given value is the solution of the inequality. So x minus 3 is less than 10 when x equals 8. So we've done stuff similar to this. When it tells us what x equals, we're evaluating. So that means we're replacing our x with 8. So if we replace x with 8, then that means we're taking 8 minus 3, and 8 minus 3 is 5. So is 5 less than 10? Is that a solution? Yes, that is a solution. So you'll take that up because 5 is less than 10. All right, looking over here, 6y is greater than 12 when y equals 2. So I got to replace my y with 2, and I'm using a multiplication here. So I'm taking 6 times 2. 6 times 2 is 12. Is 12 greater than 12? No, it's not. It's the same. So in that case, to make that a solution, our inequality sign right here would need to be greater than or equal to, because 12 is equal to 12. So this one in this case is not a solution because 12 is not greater than 12. 12 is equal to 12, so it'd have to be greater than or equal to. All right, I'm going to do one more for today, and then we'll do the rest of this tomorrow. All right, so I'll probably have assigned to you the slides 1 through 6 if I can get that figured out. If not, this is just what we'll do, okay? Slides 1 through 6. All right, so on here, we have to write the inequality that matches each graph. So let me explain this open and closed circle to you all. Open circle means that our inequality sign does not have a line underneath it. Okay, that's what open circle means. There's no line underneath. Closed circle means we have our line underneath. So if there's an open circle, it's either going to be greater than or less than. All right, there's no or equal to with open circles. With closed circles, they have the lines underneath our inequality sign, so that means it's going to be an or equal to in that case, like greater than or equal to, less than or equal to. Now, I'm going to go ahead and use x as our variable. So this first one, we have an open circle on the -2. So -2, you just put like your minus sign with the 2. So my arrow is going towards the right. So if my arrow is going towards the right, then that means all these numbers to the right of -2 are bigger than -2, are greater than -2. So that means I'm taking my greater than sign and putting it right there. Here's another little trick that I've learned. The way the arrow is pointing, see how my tail end is pointing towards that way? That tells you what way you would put these inequality signs. These are greater than, so our alligator mouth has to go towards my x because x is greater than -2. So it's going towards that way. Now down here, my dot, my closed circle is on the 1. So put 1 there. Now it's going towards the left. Now remember, I got a closed circle, so that means it's going to be between one of these two because they have the lines underneath. It's the or equal to. So x, since it's going left, all these numbers are less than 1. So that means x is less than or equal to, because it's a closed circle, 1. And see how my tail end is pointing towards that way? It's a little trick I use for this to help me remember on graphing. But I'm going to stop here, and we're going to finish the rest of these problems tomorrow, okay? I didn't want to make you do all this today, but we will finish the rest tomorrow. Remember, if you ever have any questions, you can always message me. We can set up a Google Meet or any of that, and we can get things figured out if you're confused about anything. All right, bye, guys.